Hello and welcome to my 2018 World Cup review. I'll be recapping both the group stage and the knockout stage of the tournament, as well as picking my best 11 of the tournament with some shortlisted and other players that deserve honorable mentions. Now, Group A, not too many surprises except for Egypt finishing last. I predicted they would finish third. However, Saudi Arabia ended up beating them to it in a game that didn't really have much effect on anything in the tournament, as both teams were already eliminated. In Group B, it was a lot tighter. However, the order that it finished in was still pretty close to what most people expected. While many expected Morocco, a team who played very well throughout the group stages and may consider themselves unlucky not to make it out or get more points considering how well they played this tournament, to challenge Spain or Portugal for a spot in the knockout stages. It was actually Iran, and were a win against Portugal away from shocking everyone and finishing top of the group. However, this was not to be, and Spain and Portugal made it to the knockout stages. In Group C, this was the order that most people predicted that it would end up in, with Denmark and Peru being the ones battling it out for second, France clearly going in first, and then Australia maybe being underdogs but ended up being sent home early. Peru missed a big penalty against Denmark, who were the other big contenders for second place in the group, and a place in the knockout stages. Denmark went on to win that game, and Peru faced a big uphill battle from there. They couldn't recover, and France and Denmark went through. Group D, having Croatia, Argentina, Nigeria, and Iceland, was a very tight group. On the last day, every team could have advanced. However, Argentina ended up making it, and Croatia looked like one of the best teams in the whole group stage. Ended up getting 9 points from this group, which was very impressive. Iceland only got 1 point, finishing last, which was expected, and Nigeria got third, which was also pretty expected. However, it was a lot closer than it should have been, and Argentina had to scrape a win on the last day against Nigeria to go through. Group E was also very much how people expected it to go. I think Serbia were unlucky and would have gotten through had they not let in that 90th minute goal against Switzerland, in which for some reason they were so high up, and Shaqiri ended up just breaking through, getting one-on-one with the keeper, and just had to finish it, and that ended Serbia's chances. Group F was many people's biggest surprises in the tournament. Mexico did get second, which many people expected, but what they didn't expect was it would be to Sweden. Sweden were very good, especially throughout the group stage, and while many people thought that Mexico were going to finish on 9 points after having two very good games against South Korea and Germany, beating them both, Sweden came out and stunned them, beat them 3-0, meaning that Mexico and had to play Brazil instead of Switzerland. Because of previous results, Germany had to beat South Korea to go through, and due to multiple missed chances, ended up losing to South Korea, who actually played okay throughout the tournament and had 3 very tight games. Group G also finished very much as most people expected, with Belgium and England advancing, and Tunisia and Panama getting third and fourth. However, getting second in this group did end up being a blessing for England, as they had a relatively easy route to the semifinals of the World Cup. Both England and Belgium somewhat breezed their way through the group. Now into Group H, which had teams that I think were all relatively in the same skill level, and I think that made it probably the hardest group to predict in this World Cup. This was all shown on the first day, as both favorites, Colombia and Poland, lost, and Colombia were able to recover while Poland couldn't recover and ended up coming last in the group, while Japan beat Senegal in the group based on yellow card accumulation, which this is the first time that was ever used to decide the order of a group in a World Cup, and in this case it really mattered, as one team went through to the knockout stage and one team didn't. Now let's move on to the knockout stages of this year's World Cup. In the first knockout stage game of this World Cup, France beat Argentina, inspired by Kylian Mbappe, likely taking away Argentina's last chance at a World Cup with Messi in his prime. Then the same happened to Ronaldo as Cavani scored a brace to knock Portugal out of the tournament. Next, Russia beat Spain on penalties in order to knock them out, creating one of the biggest knockout stage shocks ever. Then Croatia and Denmark faced off, with Subasic and Schmeichel both performing incredibly. However, Subasic eventually came out on top and helped Croatia get to the quarterfinals of this World Cup. Brazil then beat Mexico 2-0, while Belgium came back from behind against Japan to win 3-2. Also, Sweden beat Switzerland on a deflected Emil Forsberg goal, and then England beat Colombia on penalties. In the quarterfinals, France ended Uruguay's hopes of lifting this tournament's World Cup, while Belgium did the same to Brazil, who were largely favorites. Also, Croatia beat Russia on penalties, while England beat Sweden 2-0. France then ended Belgium's hopes of winning the World Cup by beating them 1-0 in a tightly contested affair, and Croatia shocked many English people, beating them 2-1, meaning that wouldn't be coming home. In the final, Croatia were beaten by France 4-2, and France lifted the World Cup trophy, while Croatia finished second. Now I am going to be giving you my team of the tournament, starting off at goalkeeper. I think that there are many candidates, such as Joe Lloris, Subasic, Schmeichel, Ochoa, Pickford, or Akinfeev, but I think that Courtois is the outstanding candidate here, and he showed in his game against Brazil, which was his standout performance, why he's rated so highly by so many people. Next up, we have the right back position, which I think was one of the toughest ones to call, but I think that Versacco was the best right back this tournament. I think Trippier and Mario Fernandes, as well as Munir, all had great stints at right back this tournament. I also think that Amrabat was very impressive this tournament, but I think that Versacco was the best, and he's my pick for the right back. Next up, we have the center back position. Since we're playing a 4-3-3 with an attacking mid, I'm going to pick two center backs. I think the best two center backs this tournament were Diego Godin and Raphael Varane. Varane was part of the French side that won the tournament, and I think was the best center back out of him and Umtiti. And I think that Uruguay's defense was next best in the tournament, maybe along with Brazil, but I think that Godin was more of a standout than, say, Thiago Silva for Brazil. Honorable mentions in this category go to Jose Jimenez, Umtiti, Grangfist, Maguire, Mina, and Thiago Silva. Now into left back, which I think had the least amount of standout candidates. I picked Lucas Hernandez for this, and I think that he was the best left back this tournament. He won the tournament with France, and he did provide a good assist in the final and was very solid defensively all tournament. He is a converted center back, and he played left back for the rest of the season at Atletico Madrid to replace Felipe Luis, who got injured and broke his leg, but did come back for the World Cup. Honorable mentions go to Laxalt, who funnily enough is also a converted player, but from left wing to left back. Kolarov, Nagatomo, Augustinsson, and Marcelo. In central midfield, I've gone for two candidates again, kind of like in center back, and I chose Paul Pogba and Luka Modric. Luka Modric is probably the best player over the course of the tournament on that Croatia side that got to the final, so I think that he's deserved, and I think that he also deserved the Golden Ball, which he did win. And he led this golden generation of Croatian players very well, which has led me to think that he is the best midfielder of this tournament. Next up is Paul Pogba, and I would not have gone for him had it not been for Kante's poor performance in the final, or even if Rakitic would have had a great game, I think I would have given it to him. But I think that Pogba had a very good tournament. He was consistent for most of the tournament and showed up in the big games when he needed to. He also worked very hard, and it seemed that he was one of the leaders in the French side that eventually went on to win it. and I think that he was key in them getting to the final and winning it. Honorable mentions go to Conte, Rakitic, Torreira, De Bruyne, Golovin, and Casemiro. Next up is the attacking midfielder for this team. I picked Antoine Griezmann for this. I think that he was the key player in this France side. He set the tempo. He decided when the team was going to push forward and when it was going to come back, and sometimes he would counter on his own. I think that he linked up well with Giroud and Mbappe and really helped lead the team, especially players like Lucas Hernandez, who he was directing during the game. But he also ran so much and did so much defensive work and made this French team that much harder to get past and to score on. There was some controversy on people saying that he shouldn't have done that celebration in the final, but he's been doing it since like May or April, so why wouldn't he do it? Kind of like his previous celebration, why wouldn't he do it? Why wouldn't he have done it in the final against Portugal if he would have scored and France would have won in Euro 2016? My honorable mentions in this position go to Coutinho, Isco, and Shinji Kagawa. Next up we have left wing, which I think was also one of the most difficult positions to call. For this one I went for Ivan Perisic, and my honorable mentions were Ronaldo, Neymar, Hazard, Anui, and Cheryshev. Now I think that Hazard was very good this tournament, and I think that he's second on this list, but I think that Perisic plays in big games like the final and the semifinal, as well as his explosiveness in other games, and I think his winner against Iceland, I think that he was just a really big game player, and he worked very hard, obviously, and seemed to be the best player in this position. Next up we have the striker position, which had also many candidates. And for this one I chose Edinson Cavani. My honorable mentions were Mandzukic, Lukaku, Kane, Zuba, Costa, and Suarez. Now I think this one might be the most controversial one alongside the one where I picked Perisic at left wing previously. I think that Cavani was incredible every single game this tournament, especially the first game, which he was so close every single time, and he could have had many assists had Suarez not let him down so many times. But also, he was incredible against Portugal, and I think that his link up with Suarez outside of the first game made him and Suarez the best duo in the tournament. Next up we have right wing, which seemed a little more limited on the candidates compared to the striker and left wing position. I went for Kylian Mbappe. I think that he was the best right winger this tournament, 4 goals, 2 assists, same as Griezmann. I think that he tore apart teams this tournament, and even though he didn't score in some games, he was a fear factor, and other teams were scared to take him on. And his sheer pace, just running at players and running past them, no one could catch him, and he seemed almost unstoppable at times in this tournament. My honorable mentions go to Messi, Irving Lozano, and Ante Rebic. Diving antics aside, I think that Mbappe was one of the best players this tournament. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you in the next video.